This is Radio Silly video news for the 18th of January with Worldwide Financial Planning. See Matt Heim for inheritance tax, pension and investment advice on the first Thursday of the month. Truro College. Listen every day for one of 365 great things to say about Truro and Penworth College. And Hotel Penzance, the clean, stylish boutique hotel that offers islanders substantial discounts if you mention Radio Silly when booking. Well, our news this week has been dominated by the weather conditions. The council's direct labour force was gritting with beach sand for the first time since the early noughties, according to Neville Gardner on Monday. Torrential rain also hit the islands on Tuesday. Conditions weren't good for sailors down at St Mary's Harbour, and the waves and winds certainly rocking the new pontoon. But we've had nice weather too, and on Monday evening Scilly was warmer than Miami. Islander Fred Elms tells us we had 9 Celsius, whereas Florida reached just 8 degrees. The colder snap has seen some island seasonal workers temporarily being sent home. The ice on the ground meant that flower pickers for mainland marketing were left twiddling their thumbs for a time. Demand has been high for Ireland's flowers, but the mainland, of course, has ground to a halt in the snow, and that means our flower exports have been hit. Keith Hale of Mainland Marketing tells us they were expecting to send just 1 pallet a day instead of the usual 6 pallets if the cold spell persisted.
You know, we're finding that people aren't buying because A, they're worried about whether we can get the flowers to them, whether they'll freeze on the way, which is another big problem that can happen, although with the modern temperature-controlled vehicles, that doesn't tend to happen anymore. But also people being able to actually get out to the florist to buy the flowers. PC
Mark Blythe of St Mary's Police wants to know whether their 9 till 10 a.m. police station opening is right for islanders. A consultation was launched on Radio Silly. Officers also want to know who damaged a wing mirror of a Ford Fiesta parked in Hugh Street on Sunday night. Nobody stopped to report it. A letterbox has been damaged in Branksea Close too. The island's Rotary Club has launched a response to the Haiti earthquake appeal. Rotarian Murray Hodgson arranged for collection jars to be placed in all St Mary's pubs, including the Mermaid Inn.
This is what I've really come in for this morning, is to say thank you to everybody that are making the donations. The money in those boxes doesn't necessarily have to get sent away immediately, because the boxes are already in situ in Helston. 900 have already been dispatched, as I said, and this finance will actually go into the next round of boxes that will go out. And these boxes house up to facilities to house up to 10 people. So if you think that 900 boxes have gone, that's 9,000 people now who have, once they get distributed, enough accommodation, food and water to sustain them for up to 6 weeks. But they've got to get they've got to get out there and they've got to be distributed. And normally Rotary use the Rotary clubs in situ, and we just don't have that in Haiti at the moment. So we do have a major problem.
The St Mary's health food shop leases on the market, just weeks ahead of the Garrison Lane store's 4th birthday. Tony Acharaya says the first 2 years were good, but the economic downturn means he's been losing cash. He says he'll take 5 jobs if he has to, just to stay on the islands. The lease has 2 years left, but can be extended, he says. The island's health watchdog, The Link, based here in Thoroughfare, wants to know your views on proposed changes to Cornish hospital services. Information is available from Carol Clark. Ireland's News in Brief now, and St Martin's hotelier Keith Bradford says islanders wouldn't be forgiven by future generations if we don't support the Penzance Chamber of Commerce in backing moves to secure the Battery Rocks as our mainland sea departure point. Cornwall Council is in negotiation with the English Heritage to try to get them to drop their objection so an application can be resubmitted. The town's chamber has gained 500 signature petitions this weekend. Objectors say they have a list of businesses who don't want the battery rocks touched, and our MP Andrew George has called a meeting for the 1st of February to discuss other options. He wants attendees to share his view that option A and the Falmouth Plan B, favoured by our council, is undeliverable. Initial inquiries into street lighting the path from Porthmelon Beach to Carnguavel have been made, and an off-islander has made a request to shoot grey seals. You can do that if they harm your fish. Silly's new gig, the Alfie Jenkins, has been built from elm, sourced from Sweden in Peter Martin's Porthlow gig shed. A grant from a trust set up in Alfie's name from John Nichols, community fundraising from Tresco and Briar Gig Club, and the selling of shares in the gig for rowers has helped reach the £22,000 target. Some islanders have been buying shares for their grandkids, whom they hope will row in her one day. It should be ready in time for the gig championships in May. Radio Scilly regular Louise Southwell of Code Solicitors and Penzance has been made a trustee of Scilly and Cornwall's Age Concern. She's a familiar face to islanders and comes over for sessions on the first Thursday of every month. 3 St Mary's women are cycling from John O'Groats to Land's End over 3 weeks in March to raise £2,000 for life-saving equipment for St Mary's Hospital. Michelle Lewis, Sally Kennel-Webb and Carol Drake have been practising around St Mary's.
It's escalated. It's gone from being mild curiosity to, as Carol will tell you, sweepstakes as to whether or not we're actually going to do this, how far we're going to get before we cave in, to a general interest by everybody. And the interest is such that people now want to give us money to do this. So we have decided that we need to raise the money for something.
Okay, and what is it you're raising money for?
We're raising it for a rapid anti-hypothermic patient warming unit. Doesn't sound awfully exciting.
I'm wondering what that is, actually.
Effectively, it's a warm blanket.
Okay.
But it's a powered warm blanket which, as it says, rapidly warms people up, especially if they're extremely hypothermic.
Okay, so something pretty useful on the island if somebody falls into the water or...
It would be incredibly useful. And it's also a highly effective piece of equipment for pain relief and pain management. It really would be a useful piece of kit to have.
So, why are they cycling from Scotland and not the other way round?
Because it's downhill. It's got to be. It's north to south. It's got to be downhill. I hope you're right.
5 Island school pupils have been kite flying on Porthcressa Beach during their Friday enrichment classes. Head teacher is Bryce Wilby.
They learn how to work together in a team, how to launch a kite and help each other with it, how to give and take instructions on the kite flying. We also talk about the history of kite flying, where it came from, why it's there, what's important. We look at the safety regulations, we get them to work.
Our new Islands Methodist minister has been campaigning for possibly the most unusual course ever offered at lifelong learning at Carn Thomas. At the start of the last decade, there were some eyebrows raised at the circus skills sessions being offered, but the Reverend Charlie Gibbs has asked for a course in taxidermy.
A number of years ago, somebody gave me a stuffed duck, and then somebody else gave me a stuffed owl, and I realised the beauty of these things. Mary brought me a book about taxidermy, and when I mentioned it here, I understand there's one other person on the island who's also interested, and the people at the Learning Centre have been most helpful, and they've said that this year they're going to put on a course for us. So I'm hoping that I will be able to develop these skills and offer it to the community, that I'll be able, any animals that need stuffing, I'll be very happy to do that.
Charlie's plans there have been dashed. Jacqueline Pearson from Lifelong Learning says they can't do the course because of the amount of facilities and red tape involved when you work with dead animals.